All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us this afternoon. With some of the recent violent crimes in the area, Mayor Demings is committed to keeping this community safe along with our partners and friends in law enforcement. With that, the mayor has an announcement of one additional tool for the community to aid and assist in this particular effort. The mayor will explain. Mayor?
All right, thank you, Dr. Williamson. Thank you to all of you for being here this afternoon. Of course, we have seen a number of violent crime incidents within our community that is concerning to our families and to all of us. They have also occurred across America, and we impanel a group of volunteer citizens, the Citizen Safety Task Force, to work with the subject matter experts to really come up with ways on how to reduce violent crime here within our community. That is an ongoing effort. We recently just launched a citizen safety survey. We did the same thing back in 2021, in which we asked our community what were their perceptions about crime within our community. And I'm going to remind you at this time some of the major takeaways from the crime survey results from that time. For example, 84% who were surveyed, who completed the survey at that time, stated they felt safe or very safe. Violent crime was not as serious or not as serious at all for many of our residents. So the converse of that is there were still some, 40% who felt that violent crime was serious within our community at that time. 9% stated they had been the victim of violent crime. The converse of that, 91% were saying that they had not been the victim of violent crime at that time. But 28% of those who were surveyed in 2021 stated that the level of gun violence and violent crime in the past 3 years had increased. That was their perception, that it was increasing. And so here we are today to address this once again, to get input from our residents about what they believe needs to be done, and to work with our subject matter experts, law enforcement, the courts, with our prevention providers, our intervention-related programs in our community to come up with new strategies on reducing gun violence and violent crime. I'll open it up for any questions that you might have at this time.
We know police and deputies in the county can't do everything. It takes all of us. So what are you proposing besides the survey that can help reduce some of this crime? I mean, we know Easter Sunday may have been isolated, but what was your initial reaction when you heard about the Easter Sunday tragedy across Orange County, but also what are you proposing to do?
Well, it saddens me whenever I hear about violent incidents in which the young and even the elderly are killed within our community, who are murdered. So that is very troubling. It's even more troubling when that happens when it's a person who was related to the individuals involved. So what I see, based on the nearly 40 years of law enforcement experience that I had, of being on the ground, being on the battlefield, responding to these types of incidents, what I've seen over time is a desensitization of violent crime, where individuals who will arm themselves with a firearm will use that firearm. And there are a number of reasons why, as a society, we have now seen this desensitization of what violent crime really is. Also, we've seen the proliferation of the available guns falling in the hands of the wrong people. Many of the assailants in these incidents happen to also be mentally ill. And so as a community, what are we doing about it? I believe that we have to work within our faith community. We have to work within those who provide youth-related services to provide positive alternatives or spaces where individuals can go and they can be exposed to other strategies and decision-making processes where they will make better decisions about whether to get involved in gang activity, whether to get involved in violent crime or other situations, and I dare say whether to or not to even carry a firearm. So we have to work. What we are doing in this community, we are spending some dollars on the prevention side, where we are spending dollars with community-based organizations to provide those safe spaces where our youth can go and during their formative years, where they will have authentic, credible messengers. They will have a clergy and others who will work with them to guide them on how to avoid the pitfall of getting involved in illicit activity. So we have an abundance of programs. Orange County now has some $87 million that we are spending in youth prevention and intervention related types of programming. We're going to continue to do that. We have a window open right now for nonprofit organizations in our community to apply for funding to help support providing the type of services that I just described. We are also working with law enforcement. We are funding different programs that the Sheriff's Office is working within. The City of Orlando is funding programs with the Orlando Police Department regarding providing clinicians, licensed mental health professionals who are responding out into our community to deal with the growing number of individuals who are mentally ill, who are in crises, who sometimes encounter law enforcement. And so data is being captured there. The other thing that I will tell you is that we have invested heavily in a strategy within our county to allocate dollars for mental health treatment within this community. That is significant. If we have been successful over time in reducing the rate of incarceration of individuals within our jail, we've been successful in reducing crime, including violent crime, over time by ensuring that those who are mentally ill, who are substance abusers, who may have other behavioral disorders or co-occurring disorders, where they are able to get treatment in this community. You may recall that we impaneled commissioned a study to look at the mental health services that we provide as a community. A year or so ago, it was identified that we had a $49 million gap in those services. What Orange County did in the current fiscal year that we're in, to close that $49 million gap, we allocated an additional $10 million for mental health services for youth and adults within this community, so that we can cut down on the recidivism and sometimes seeing individuals who commit crimes, violent crime and otherwise, because of their mental illness. It's a strategy, a long-term strategy for us. We're one of the few counties that has a crisis receiving center where individuals who commit minor violations of law because of their behavioral health issues or mental health issues, they are diverted into a treatment program, and we're one of the few counties within the state of Florida that has this central receiving center for those types of services to occur. And then we're working with law enforcement. We're funding the Sheriff's Office with new positions. We're looking at new strategies. We're taking their advice on what they believe needs to be done to intervene, to hold individuals accountable who do commit violent crime and other crime within our community. And then lastly, the prosecution. We are working with our local prosecutor, State Attorney Monique Worrell, who is the state attorney, the prosecutor for Orange and Osceola County, to look at and support them in different ways as they administer justice here within this community. So there's a lot that we are doing. Unfortunately, this is something that is going to continue, I believe, for a while. We have to have some serious conversations about the availability of guns and the types of guns as a society. That is a conversation that has to take place at the federal level. But the reality within our state, we have a situation where we now have permitless carry. As a nearly 4-decade law enforcement officer, working at all levels, I can tell you I think that that's a social experiment that is going to result in disaster for a community, because that just means that the proliferation of guns, that increases the probability that a gun will fall in the hands of the wrong person, and that person is the ones who we see who are committing gun violence within our communities across America.
Mr. Mayor, during the first fiscal year of the Citizens Task Force, the Crime Prevention Task Force. Can you talk to me a little bit about, we noticed that there were funds that had not been used, funds left on the table. Can you talk about what's being done to ensure that taxpayer dollars aren't being wasted here?
Okay. The reason why some of the dollars didn't get expended was quite frankly, it was during a COVID era. Many of the organizations who contracted with the county found issues related to gathering because of the spread of COVID and the reality that that brought forward. What we also saw was that a number of the organizations lacked the administrative capacity to do the documentation that was necessary. This isn't free money that we're just giving out. We want results to be produced. We want to see a decline in truancy, a decline in juvenile crime. We want to see a decline in interactions with law enforcement and all of those types of things that we want to see documented. So we entered into a partnership with Rollins College and the Edith Bush Institute to create an opportunity where we could do capacity building and training for these community-based organizations to be able to better handle the administrative side of what is necessary to expend those funds. And so we are very optimistic that given the feedback that we have received, there are a number of community-based organizations who we are partnering with. And so I look forward to this next year and putting more dollars out on the streets to intervene early in these processes, and then also to bring awareness to the situation that we see before us at this point.
Are there checks and balances in place that the county is doing to ensure that those dollars are in fact going to the right place? Like, are there audits being done?
Okay, everyone that is a recipient of county funding subjects their organization to the potential audit by the only elected controller or auditor within the state of Florida. Comptroller Diamond is the only one. We have the only county in the state of Florida that has that process. So that is part of why we are training and ensuring that there's capacity building to handle the administrative side of what we're doing.
Mayor, when it comes to this survey, I know you want every Orange County resident, as many as possible, to fill this out. What would be your pitch to residents to fill this out? How is it going to make a difference as this task force moves forward?
The task force recommendations are going to only be as good as the input that they receive from the citizens. The citizen safety survey is but one way that if you want to ensure that your concerns are considered, fill out the survey. That's your opportunity. If you can't attend the meetings, and we'll be moving the meetings around the county, you can complete the survey. It's a short survey, and as I reported here, it gives us the perspective by which to move forward to make decisions.
So one last question.
When you talk about making decisions, is that decisions about who will be funded, or what kind of decisions are going to be made from this task force?
It will likely be decisions about the type of engagement that we will move forward with, whether that's providing dollars to community-based organizations, non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations. It's giving recommendations to the Board of County Commission about the policy of what the board was set and established as to, and the expectations regarding the expenditure of these funds. That's what it's really all about. Is so that we have the best information going forward by which to make decisions that's consistent with what our community wants to see in our community.
I really want to ask real quick, what do you say to the people committing these crimes?
To those who are committing the crimes, what I would say to them is that think twice. Violent crime is a deadly business to be in, first off, not just for the victims, but for the assailants. Most recently, several of the individuals who have committed violent acts where they have shot and killed multiple persons, they died in the process as well. And sometimes that suggests to me that these individuals are likely mentally ill. Many of them are likely undiagnosed which is, again, one of the reasons why I'm kind of putting this focus on, for people who are chronically stressed, get some help, okay, before it's too late. Before, because of your mental illness, you find yourself in a situation that is beyond what you can work through. You put yourself at jeopardy when you take the lives of others, when you're in violent confrontations with law enforcement. Law enforcement is programmed to win in those circumstances. Winning for them means that the assailants are likely going to die in the process.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mayor.
All right.